Previously on Squad Sprint.
The Baku City street circuit can throw up drama at the best of times. Imagine what's going to happen when you send the Veloce Squad Sprint guys for a race around it. Over 195 miles an hour into the braking zone, in comes Photon, and he collides with Storm and Arava. No sign of the brake pedal. Bang! Straight into them. James takes off into the sky towards the finish line. Veloce Surprise has won on his debut in the series.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Veloce Squad Sprint Series. I'm Diablo, bringing you the action today for the Spanish Grand Prix around this Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona in Spain. 16 corners and 5 laps ahead of the drivers here today. It is a sprint, so you'd like to believe that there's going to be a fair amount of action, and these races in the past have often proved there will be a lot of action as well. Can Formula Danny hold his championship lead as we head in towards round 13 and towards round 14 as well? So, the Spanish Grand Prix, who will come out on top here today? 14 drivers ready to take the 5 laps, and obviously the first thing we want to know is the grid. John Isaac Harris starts from pole position, alongside him is Niran on the front row. Joe Eterno Wilkes starts from third ahead of Veloce Surprise on row 2. Arrow starts from 5th ahead of Primero in 6th. 7th for Storm, who starts ahead of Tom Martinez on row 4. TIAMETMARDUK starts from 9th ahead of Photon, who rounds out the top 10. Veloce Alonso will be hoping for Alonso S start from 11th. Alongside him is Veloce James. And Sally Saltuk and Daniel Beresnay, or Formula Danny, round out the grid of 14 drivers. 5 laps ahead of these guys, and there is a fair run to turn 1, so let's see what Ben can do ahead of 5 red lights. Holding the clutch in and releases it, gets a good start, poor start from Tom, then in the Ferrari. He's going to get swamped actually, Ben, because Photon's on the outside, a bit of a leg spike. There's all sorts of carnage as we head down towards turn 1, as you would expect. Sonic is just behind him. Ben's gone for an almighty dive bomb, carnage into turn 1. And that's the thing, a Mercedes has just gone flying round into the first corner through turn 3. You want to be holding your nerve through here, but Ben thinks better of it, and there's a slow Toro Rosso mid-corner, having to dart out of his way. Can everyone get through cleanly? Well, not everyone's got through cleanly. We're down to 13 runners. The Sonic just spun around coming out of turn 4, and that is not what you wanted to be seeing. The Sauber sideways through turn 4 in a major way. The Toro Rosso is getting very scrappy up ahead, or the Red Bull. And there's James. There's more contact with James involved. And Storm's lost out then, and Ben's up to 2nd place, but can Formula Danny find his way through as well? Storm in the Red Bull, not living up to his name here, because the Hungarian is all over the back of him as they head down towards the end of the 2nd sector, and ahead goes Formula Danny for now. But there is plenty of carnage, I'm sure, still to be witnessed in this race. Ben holding on to P2. Tom didn't have a great start in the Ferrari, but he's hoping to get some positions back, and he's right on behind now. The McLaren of Primero, as we head into the final chicane here, and can't quite get the move done, sizing him up through the final corner. He needs a good run out of here, sorting out the ZRS modes. There's 3 abreast ahead of these guys as they head towards turn 1. Who's going to yield there? You wouldn't think either of them will. Any of them will. Here comes Tom though. He's on the outside of Primero into turn 1. Who's going to get ahead here? Tom trying to forces the issue and does get ahead. A major oversteer moment. A force hinder in the gravel. That's Ben, of course. And let's see what Tom can do. He's moved himself into P5. And look at this almighty start. We're on board with Arif, who also didn't get the best of getaways in the McLaren. He was swamped left, right and centre, and you could see the carnage that falls into turn 1. Absolute pandemonium through there, and Arif somehow getting away with it, you could say. He loses a couple of positions into P8, and he's just trying to force the issue. And Formula Danny had a stonking start from the back of the grid, and he manages to make his way through into 7th place, and there's the spinner, and Arif was caught in that as well, and that was Sonic getting spun around, and not much he could do there. What can Ben do then against James? James runs a bit wide, goes through in the Force India. Simple as you like for him, and he moves himself into P9 now trying to dart and catch Eterno ahead of him. Formula Danny is P2, and Surprise is gone. He's completely out of shot here. He's so far up the road. Tom is starting to form up behind Sally here, and Sally's moved to the... is defending, or got up the inside in fact of Storm, and is now ahead of the Red Bull, moves himself into the podium spot and trying to keep Danny under pressure because, of course, that championship is everything that they're going for in this series. And Tom then will have to size himself up here because he could get a good run, gets a bit too much oversteer through the final corner, and that's not going to be helping his chances. Throwing it into overtake mode. He's got to start closing in on Storm. He's closing, he's closing, he's closing. I don't think he's going to be close enough into turn 1. Thinks better of it, does the Ferrari into there. What's Ben getting up to then? He's in P9 at the moment, still ahead of James. They've having a bit of a squabble here, the Haas and the Force India. So who can stay ahead this time? The E-Rock champion versus, well, the Australian. Let's see what can happen here as he gets a bit of a nudge coming through turn 4 then, does Ben. And James is all over the back of him again. Did James get him on the outside? He has done, he's keeping it in there. Trying to go late on the brakes, but can't quite get the move done. He's on the switchback though. Could Ben hold on? Doesn't look like he will. James has got a fantastic drive going out of turn 5 and gets ahead of the Force India. Gets a slight oversteer moment, slight squealing on the rear end, but stays ahead. Ben's going to have DRS though as they come down towards the end of the second sector. Let's see then. Ben moves to the outside. He's going to have to go all the way around the outside. Can't quite get the move done and eventually settles for his 9th place. Meanwhile, up the front, Veloce Formula Danny is starting to close up towards Surprise. He's getting, could be rather close between these two, and Formula Danny sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:18.0. Tom is also on the charge. What can he do against Storm? This time he's got the DRS wide open, but he just can't get close enough into the braking zone of turn 1. Or can he? Because a slight mistake from the Red Bull goes a bit too deep into there. And now through turn 3, Tom's going to have a great old run, a great drive through turn 3, but just can't quite get the move on the inside there. He's going to have to think about where he's going to pose up this Red Bull. There's plenty of opportunities to make moves around here. You've just got to time them correctly, and that, I'm sure, is what Tom is thinking. Needs to get some good points for Ferrari. So against Storm then, both get a major oversteer moment coming into the chicane. Turn 9 as well, flat out in these cars, or just about at least. Open up the DRS. Tom still isn't quite close enough to get a move done on the Red Bull. A lot cleaner than Baku this race, has to be said. There's not been as much carnage. There's no cars in the air either, so we're in for a bit of a winner on that sense. But Formula Danny starting to close up to Surprise. The young Welshman against the more experienced Hungarian as he goes fastest again. Not by much does Formula Danny, but does improve. Here comes Tom then. He's going to be squeezed to the pit wall. Not really. He's going to go for the move quite easily as they head down the main straight. DRS wide open, and it is an easy move for Tom, who gets himself into P4. He now needs to chase after Sally in the Sauber. He's just going to have to do a bit of defending perhaps though. A good run through turn 3 and Storm might be in, but I think Tom's covered it off nicely. Indeed he has. Arav is P12 at the moment, and he's not having the greatest of afternoons, you could say. Had the slide incident with the Sauber to begin with, and hasn't really got himself going this one. Surprise ringing a bit deep though as they head through chicane now. Let's see what Formula Danny can do. He's a bit wide through turn 9, but it keeps it all together. Got the DRS wide open, and just playing around the DRS modes as they head down towards turn 10. And this infield section, this is now a rallycross section, but let's just see what Formula Danny can do. He's going to have the DRS into towards turn 1. It's going to be close towards the line, in fact. It's not going to be close enough for the Mercedes today. It doesn't look like he's going to get a move done on the Williams through there. He's going to be close, isn't he? It's very close between these two, but Veloce Surprise makes it 2 from 2 in the Veloce Squad Sprint Series, and Formula Danny has to settle for second. 50 points in the bag from 2 races for Surprise. A great return for him. And Ben will ultimately finish in P10 in the end. Personal best for him on the final lap of the race. But there is your final race classification. So Surprise does win ahead of Formula Danny. And Sally Salsick finishes in 3rd. Tom finishes in 4th. A good drive from Storm to finish 5th. Photon in 6th. From 10th on the grid. Primero finishes 7th. Veloce James finishes in P8. Eterno starting from right up the front. Finishes in P9. And Ben rounds out the top 10. 25 points in the bag for Josh once again as he heads towards, well, he's getting towards those mid stages now for him in terms of the grid position. And here is the Drivers' Championship. You can see Formula Danny keeps his lead, but it's a slender margin. 10-point gap in the championship with 8 races still to go. Sally is in second in the championship, and he is really starting to get onto the heels of the Hungarian with another enthralling race here for round 13. Join us for the next round, round 14, and where hopefully we see some more carnage and some more action in this fantastic Veloce Squad Sprint series. Join us then. I've been Diablo. Like and subscribe, and leave the comment in the section for who you thought was the driver of the day today. Goodbye.
Next time, round 14, Monaco.